Dragonfolk, there was a lot of news that dropped over these last 3 days. Let's go ahead and talk about the stuff that went on over the weekend in Magic Philly, as well as talking about some of the amazing announcement that just happened today during the monthly announcement of Magic the Gathering. Welcome on in, Dragonfolk. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I know I am. My name is Ashen Wings, and today we're going to be talking about none other than the insane amount of information that has come to all of us over these past couple of days. Now, first, we need to talk about the Magic the Gathering Philly, the Philly Con or the Magic Con that was happening in Philadelphia, however you want to say it. There was a convention going on over there that was introducing the first bringing back of the Pro Tour. This Pro Tour was done in the plenty of different ways. The Pro Tours had not been instated for some time in person, simply because of that pan pizza that had occurred. And now having everybody back in, it seemed that everyone had a fantastic time. It was a hustlin' and bustlin' convention center with tons and tons of people. Everybody seemed to have such a great time from what Twitter is concerned. And usually Twitter has a lot of negative things to say. So I was very happy to see that there was a lot of positivity of people coming back to the game, playing it in person again for the first time if they didn't happen to be able to go to Magic 30. And it just seemed like an overall better event compared to the Magic 30th anniversary that happened in Las Vegas. So I'm happy to see all the crazy stuff that went on there. It definitely makes me wish I was there, but unfortunately, I do not have the funds to be able to go to all of these really big events. So I just kind of make do by watching everybody else have fun and then talking about it to all of you over the camera. So speaking of the Pro Tour, Reed Duke actually won his very first Pro Tour there. And it was amazing to see. It's been a long time coming. I know Reed has been working super hard. He's always been known as a very competitive player, one of the higher level players in the entirety of Magic's, history right now. And for him to take home a Pro Tour win during this time was really cool. He had won with Is It Creativity against Selesnya Auras. And both of those decks, seeing how far they came into the format, it was really awesome to see that anything can happen. When we looked at the World Championships not too long ago, we saw nothing but Orzhov vehicles. But now we see a very diverse meta, only like 15%, which is the highest amount of representing decks. At 15% were Rakdos midrange, which is kind of amazing, right? Because that was a very powerful deck and very popular. And it seems that over the course of, just over at Worlds to now, you see a significant change in meta and more people kind of feeling more comfortable just playing what they want to play into these giant tournaments because it's what they're comfortable with and it's what they know, even though it may not be the meta. A very diverse meta does help out a lot, and normally you don't see a huge diverse meta in Magic the Gathering, at least during this day and age, so it was very nice to see. But of course, we also look at some crazy stuff that happened on the Sunday, I believe, of Magic Philly. This was insane. We got a awesome look into what we should be expecting into March of the Machines. Now, of course, with there being consistent releases being bombarded at us left and right, it seems hard to feel genuinely excited for most of these sets. But I think Phyrexia All Will Be One was a fantastic set, and I became very excited for it myself. And seeing all the stuff that's going to be happening in March of the Machines is certainly no different. In March of the Machines, we are going to see Phyrexia essentially attempt to invade every plane imaginable in the multiverse. I mean, we're talking things like Lorwyn and Amonkhet and Ixalan and, Tarkir. There's going to be every place that's available to be completed. They are going to try to have their way with it. And that's leading to a very interesting team up amongst many characters, such as Thalia and the Gitrog monster. It's so crazy to see these characters team up together, even though sometimes It's just a very weird team up. It's a very, very cool thing to see. You see a lot of really awesome stuff coming through here. And it just is mind blowing to me how many names show up. This is essentially the Avengers Endgame of Magic the Gathering, and it's crazy to see. I think the lore is going to be on point here. It's going to be very amazing. And really, this may be the set to essentially change Magic forever, as far as from a lore perspective. But I think the real question we're asking is, are we going to see a Ugin and Nicol Bolas crossover with both of them partnering together? Because that would be something truly amazing. Of course, on top of all this, we also see that Heliod is going to get completed. Heliod gets completed not so much because you can, essentially turn a god into a Phyrexian. What happened is the Phyrexians had taken over the followers of Heliod. And because Heliod's followers became Phyrexian, Heliod then became Phyrexian. It was very interesting. It's crazy how the god system works here, but that essentially churned Heliod into a Phyrexian god. So now we see him as a Azorius colors. And it's just a very interesting thing. We also see that Transform is back. So Transform is coming into this set. You see that along with the Praetors that we are going to see here as well. We do get the card for Jin-Gitaxias and their transformed version being a Saga. So pretty interesting to see that all of these characters are getting new versions of themselves already, because we just got all of the Praetors printed in Phyrexia All Will Be One, and now we're getting them printed in new cards in March of the Machines. So curious to see what their overall change is going to be like, but Shieldred the Apocalypse is probably going to be the better version of Shieldred still, unless for some reason the Shieldred is just insanely good. Another individual who got completed in the March of the Machines is none other than Omnath. Omnath had been missing the black color from their combination of colors for a little while now. They were sitting at 4 colors when we last saw him over in Zendikar. But now he is completed. And with Omnath being completed, he gets that 5th color pip in black, but it's Phyrexian mana. So it's very interesting. Omnath is completed, all 5 colors, and is very, very scary. I gotta say, the art for Omnath looks really, really good here. I never was exactly into Omnath. I never knew what the whole hubbub was, mainly just because I couldn't probably afford a deck that ran Omnath. But it's super cool to see him in all 5 colors, and I think the art looks super cool here too. There are also 5 new commander decks coming out with March of the Machines, and all of them are going to include plane chase cards. Now, I know not many people who are getting into the game just recently, or even within the past 5 years or more, have any idea about what a plane chase card is. I certainly don't either. But they are an interesting effect that are for commander only. They are only printed in the commander decks. They do not come in the main set. So they will be used for commander and commander alone. Another awesome thing that they're going to be doing with this set is they're bringing back that same mystical archive feel like they did with the retro artifacts in the Brothers' War, in which they're showing off these, what they call multiverse legends. And let me tell you, if this right here does not bring joy, I don't know what does. That's Ragavan, the same card that everybody in Modern is complaining is the most busted thing ever, and that you need this card in order to play Modern and blah, blah. The card is getting a reprint. Not only is it getting a reprint, but it's getting a reprint in the Kaladesh Inventions border. It looks amazing. And if it's just as available in these formats as anything else, right, depending on how often these Multiverse Legends cards are essentially given out, there's going to be tons of Ragavans put onto the market, and that's amazing. We like to see that. There's also a Troxa as well in the Streets of New Capenna art, which means that it seems, if that's what it's supposed to be, right, the art and the frame for that character is supposed to be based on the plane they are from. So Ragavan, therefore, being from Kaladesh, and then you have Atraxa being from New Capenna, which is very interesting. I wonder if New Capenna is like where the Angels originated, essentially, because that would be pretty cool, considering they have a New Capenna border for Atraxa. They're also coming out with a new foiling, no surprise. There's a new foiling coming out for these Multiverse Legends, and that is going to be the Halo foil. We're not sure what that's supposed to look like yet, but that has been told that that is a new foiling for these cards. I'm assuming it's going to be a less than 1% to pull, and hopefully it doesn't curl like everything else. They're also changing up the pre-release packs that you are going to be getting. Normally, when you get a pre-release bundle for going to a pre-release event, you get the one date-stamped card and then some extras in the back as well. And now you're going to be getting a date-stamped card from the main set as well as a commander card from the commander set of March of the Machines. Now, obviously, you can't use that commander card for the pre-release, unfortunately, but you have a new card available to you, and now these pre-release packs are going to be pushing a lot more awesome rares and mythics out to people in a pre-release form of itself. So for March of the Machine, we are expected to get previews and spoilers to start on March 29th, so at the end of next month. And then it is going to be releasing April 21st, which means that we are going to have quite some time in between the end of spoiler season and the launch of the set itself. So hopefully we get some time there. Obviously, pre-release dates are before that 21st, so we've got about like a week to kind of look over the cards and see which we're looking to get and go from there. Along with this, there's also a new secret lair that is being introduced. Of course, we always got to have a new secret lair that comes with things, but again, we are seeing much like we would see with the Multiverse Legends, in which we are seeing a bunch of cards from certain planes being printed in a showcase art that they were not previously printed in. Along with all of this March of the Machine information that we all got together, it turns out we also got some information onto March of the Machines, the Aftermath as well. Turns out that set is only going to be 50 cards in the entire main set, and it just seems like a little bit like a DLC to me. There are standard legal cards in that set, so if you are going to be keeping up with standard, unfortunately, this may be something you're either going to have to just buy all the singles for or buy some packs. The packs are only going to be 5-card packs, and with a 50-card set, again, it seems like DLC. It doesn't seem like something that they should have printed and then made in mass to sell to people. It probably was something they wanted to put into March of the Machine, but then decided not to. So a lot of lore stuff happening with that set specifically, but 50 cards is 50 cards. I just hope that there isn't something in there that's like well over $50, because then we have a weird situation on our hands for that set itself. So then, of course, after all of that information coming at us at MagicCon Philly, we then only 2 days later, coming today on Tuesday, for a monthly announcement for Wizards of the Coast during their weekly MTG streams with Blake, right? We come to find out that we're getting more information on 2 products that are coming out to us soon, which are going to be the Lord of the Rings set, the Middle-earth set. It's going to come in every standard SKU release like anything else would. So it's got commander decks, it's got set boxes, it's got collector boxes, it's got draft boxes, it's got pre-release bundles, it's got gift boxes, yada yada, you name it, it's got it. It does also have a starter deck, so you can buy one of those starter arena kits and be able to get cards from there. Arena is also going to be getting the Lord of the Rings set when it releases on Arena in just its own realm. It's not going to release like the Battle of Baldur's Gate did, where it kind of mixed 2 sets together. The Lord of the Rings set is the first big Universes Beyond actual set, unlike the Warhammer 40k, which only came in commander decks. This one is going to have a little bit of everything and be an entire set based around the Lord of the Rings. So while it's going to be a lot of cards to check out, I am curious, again, where we are going to see these cards being used and how many people are going to want to use them. There's a lot of players who don't want to see any, Frodo Baggins in their Jeskai Dragons deck or something. But this is the world we live in right now. So unfortunately, people in eternal formats are just going to have to realize that these cards exist, and hopefully it doesn't make as huge an impact as one would think. Now, of course, like I said, it's going to be available on Arena when it does launch on Arena, but it is due to release on June 23rd. So we do have a little while until the summer of this year to get ourselves excited for a Lord of the Rings set if that's something you are interested in. I'm sure the people at Wizards of the Coast are excited about this set simply because of how well the Warhammer set sold, but I'm curious to see the numbers on this set when it does release. It would be a very interesting science experiment, if you would. And then another huge announcement, we have Shadows over Innistrad is coming to Arena. And that's going to be a very interesting thing. It's the whole set, Shadows over Innistrad remastered, essentially, which is going to be that entire Shadows over Innistrad block era. And we're going to get all of those cards added into Arena. So Sigarda's Aid, all that stuff. It's going to be really, really cool. I'm super excited to see that. Anytime they introduce more remastered stuff into Arena, the closer I know that we are to getting Pioneer at its full force on Arena. And then I pretty much never have to buy a single physical card ever in my life unless I plan to play at physical events that are going on at LGSs or at these big events as well. And the final thing, the big kahuna of this announcement that happened earlier today, is none other than the announcement of Commander Masters. Now, we've seen Commander Legends already previously, introducing a bunch of cards into the Commander scene that were not previously there, and Commander Masters is a set that is based around reprints, right? If it was Commander Horizons, I would expect there would be a lot of new cards being added in. But Commander Masters is a complete reprint set. And they went ahead and they just gave us the get-go. Right off the bat, they showed us everything that the Commander players wanted. That is none other than in the Commander Master set, there will be a Jeweled Lotus reprint and an Dragon reprint. These are two of some of the most popular cards to play in Commander, and especially Dragon being probably one of the most popular dragon commanders to date. They're both very expensive cards, and Jeweled Lotus, of course, holds a pretty penny where it was when Commander Legends came out, but it is now getting a reprint, and both of these cards are getting what the creators like to call a frame break variant. For those of you who play Marvel Snap, maybe you've heard of the frame break entirety, but this is supposed to be a little bit different. I'm sure it is trying to not be exactly like that, but if it is, it's kind of funny. Frame break is just borderless. It's supposed to look like it's coming out at you, like it's 3D or something, but I don't personally think it's going to look like that at all. I think it just looks like a borderless card. You do also have the Capture of Jingzhou. I believe I said that correctly. Jingzhou. That is a card from Portal 3 Kingdoms that is getting a reprint in here. So more Portal 3 Kingdoms reprints. You got Imperial Seal. You got a couple of the things from the vaults, from the vault stuff that were Portal 3 Kingdoms cards. So it's very interesting to see that we slowly but surely are getting a reintroduction to the Portal 3 Kingdoms over these few sets that have just come out. Another thing that this Commander Master set is bringing to players has them very, very excited. And that's none other than the 4 Commander decks that are going to be coming with the set itself. The 4 Commander decks are an Abzan Enchantments deck, a Jeskai Planeswalkers deck with none other than what everybody assumes to be Commodore Guff, who is a fun and interesting character from the lore of Magic the Gathering, an old walker, if you would call them, who quite literally during one of the novels of Magic the Gathering, I believe Apocalypse it was, essentially retconned the entire Phyrexian invasion to just not make it happen because he wanted a good ending instead of a bad ending. So I'm curious to see whether or not this is in fact Commodore Guff and what is going to be the case with him and all these Planeswalkers that are going to be made in this Jeskai Planeswalker party deck. And the next two are super, super interesting. Not only do we have a colorless Eldrazi precon, but we do also have a 5-color Slivers precon. That's right, Eldrazi and Slivers both are getting their own precon deck in this Commander Master set. And all 4 of these Commander decks will be coming with new cards to add to the Eternal format. So while the main set is nothing but reprints, the Commander cards in the Commander decks are in fact going to be brand new, or at least a good portion of them are going to be brand new to the game, much like I'm certain the commanders of those decks. So for Commander Masters, that is going to have our first look into that on May 16th, and then it is going to launch on August 4th. So very interesting to see. I'm curious what is going to be going on with everything in the set. It seems like a very crowded amount of time in these next couple of months. And it already seems that summer and spring are full of cards. I mean, just like an insane amount of cards for people to be getting. But I'm seeing a lot of positivity from the Magic the Gathering community in regards to these sets. I haven't heard too much about the Lord of the Rings stuff. I hear people are excited. Some people who already don't like Universes Beyond probably do not like the set itself. But it is very nice to see that there's just a genuine amount of positivity towards a lot of the stuff for Magic right now. I don't know whether or not that's just the rose-colored glasses coming in or anything of that sort, but there's a lot of people who are very, very excited for these sets. They're excited for March of the Machines and all the crazy new, team-up cards that are coming. They're excited for the Multiverse Legends cards. I mean, I think a lot of people in Modern are very excited for a Ragavan reprint. The Lord of the Rings stuff, obviously, is its own base thing. So whoever's excited for Lord of the Rings cards, be excited for that, I guess. And then you have Commander Masters, which is, again, another huge thing for Commander players, Commander being the most popular format as of right now. And while I don't like pushing Commander onto a lot of players as like the thing you should play, I will say that Commander Masters, even with just the few cards that they have shown, shows me that this is going to be one powerhouse of a set and is definitely going to be something that is going to be remembered for quite some time. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about all of this news. I mean, it just keeps coming. There's more and more and more content to keep on putting down all of our throats. But if people like it, then I don't see where there's a problem. If somebody out there enjoys all this content coming out them, or maybe they're just waiting for that perfect one to drop, such as Commander Masters, then something out there is going to be there for them. And at the end of the day, if somebody keeps buying product, Magic the Gathering is still going to be profitable. The company is still going to continue to grow into its even further into its $1 billion status that it hit in Q4. So I'm very curious how you guys think about all of this here. Maybe it feels like it's too much. Maybe they're just revealing too much all at one time. But I have a feeling that eventually this will slow down, and then we will be able to kind of take some time, and I won't have to review 3 different first looks in the matter of one video. So while you're down there writing that comment, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel as well if you have not already. And you can check out our Patreon and our channel memberships in the description down below. That's if you want to support the channel in a more monetary sense, but it's absolutely not necessary, although I do really appreciate it. So thank you all so much for watching. Again, I do truly appreciate your support, and I will see you all very soon. Nerd out.